What's going on, FUD Nation, and welcome back. We have an exciting Monday morning packed full of crypto news as we mull over the possibility that Trump could, in fact, try to ban Bitcoin at one point, and what that would actually mean for Bitcoin holders, traders, and businesses in the space. Furthermore, we have an extreme shift in sentiment from extreme greed to extreme fear, and what that means right now for you as an average trader, hodler, or maybe you're just getting involved in the space and want to know a little bit more about what this big switch in sentiment could mean for the market. We're also going to talk about some top news headlines and one of my favorite coins that has really over the past month proven out to be one of the most solid cryptocurrency projects in the entire space. We have that and more coming up on this episode of FUD TV. If you're excited for this video, please throw a like and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And without further ado, let's get to the news. Right now, Bitcoin is showing just a 0.82% bump, but if you were following the price over the past 24 hours, you know that Bitcoin sunk well below the $10,000 range, and that tick was actually pretty scary if you're holding a lot of Bitcoin, as am I. I was really wondering to myself, is this the end of this run? Was this whole run just leading up to this $14,000 mark? And sometimes you can't help but have those thoughts during these sort of parabolic movements, both up and down. And now, especially as we're consolidating after these highs, it's hard not to think that this might have been, the brunt of the bull run. But of course, if this is anything like any of the bull runs in past history in Bitcoin land, then it can't be. It just doesn't match up with the historical precedents. Once we're in a bull cycle, Bitcoin has always overcome its prior highs, and we still have yet to overcome our prior highs, so we cannot be done with this bull run, in my humble opinion. Obviously, anything can happen, not financial advice, this is just my opinion. But as we can see here on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we now have an extreme fear, a 16 reading, whereas yesterday we had a greed reading, and last week we had extreme greed along with extreme greed throughout last month. So, this is just really a measurement of market sentiment, and to me, it's kind of exciting because as you get these, parabolic moves on Bitcoin, it sort of becomes a question of when can you catch the train? And everybody wants to catch the train as it's running up without end, it seems. But as soon as it does a pullback, as soon as we see any kind of fluctuation in the price, everyone wants to run away. But I think everyone would have loved to buy Bitcoin at $10,000 when it was up here at $14,000. But now that it's coming back towards $10,000, everyone's getting a little bit cold feet. I personally think if you have no Bitcoin at all, it's not a terrible time to start scaling in. Obviously, I would recommend if it's your first time buying Bitcoin, or if you're just really new to it again, you haven't bought any since the last bull cycle, I would say spacing out your buys over time gives you a nice even-handed way to get into the market. Buying a little bit each day or a little bit each week over a period of time will allow you to sort of hedge your bets. If the market goes up, well, maybe you didn't get the best opportunity. But if the market goes down a little bit, then you sort of dollar cost average your entire spend into that market. So you get a little bit of the benefit of that dip in price. Anyway, moving on here to this concept that was floated here on a Cointelegraph article, Trump banning Bitcoin is feasible but highly unlikely. So while it is highly unlikely, I think that the Twitter tirade by Donald Trump the other day gives us some insight into the fact that obviously he's not a big fan of cryptocurrency. But it's also worth noting that as Bitcoin potentially goes on a historic bull run up into the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per coin, there's a very real possibility that people will start looking at Bitcoin as a more sound economic tool, a more sound form of money than the US dollar. And that is, of course, a great fear for any nation, which, much like the United States, has used the printing of dollars to facilitate their activities, stabilize their economy, finance wars, and all of the above. So I could see it as a very real possibility that the leader of the United States would not like a huge surge in Bitcoin, but can he actually ban it outright? And as this article goes into and explains, you can ban certain aspects of it, but one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin is that it cannot be shut down per se, because there are tens of thousands of nodes across the world that run the Bitcoin blockchain. You'd have to shut down every node across the entire world, and that's just far beyond the scope of even what Donald Trump would or could really do and accomplish. Short of shutting down the internet globally, really Bitcoin is going to continue. And so what you can do is you can, ban the ownership of Bitcoin. You can ban the trading of Bitcoin. You can ban the fiat on and off ramps like the Coinbases, the Cash Apps, the Geminis. You can make it so that me with a a US dollar, I cannot go and easily buy Bitcoin in a lawful way, or that I can't do it with a credit card or a bank account. But there's always going to be the possibility that I could, find someone with a ledger or a Trezor on the street, and pay them in cash or something like that. There's just ways that this could happen. It would be very difficult to shut down the entire industry altogether. I would say that no matter what, it would certainly damage the Bitcoin price. You might see an absolute free fall in the Bitcoin price if there was any utterances of banning Bitcoin outright in the United States. But I think this is an interesting concept, certainly an interesting thought experiment to think what could happen if someone like Donald Trump, who's known to go on the attack and pull out extreme measures on the things that he does not like, the things he does not want to exist, would he potentially exert his regulatory might on Bitcoin? What I see is a sort of reactionary measure to seeing something like a Bitcoin take flight, and really it is a threat to traditional economic and financial measures. But as this article does detail, and once you play it out, it seems pretty unlikely that he would try to outright ban Bitcoin. So while it is possible to ban some aspects of the Bitcoin economy, while it is possible to shut down and most likely damage the Bitcoin price, I find it highly unlikely that this stuff would happen. And in looking back, this might just be one tweet lost in the Twitterverse that is Donald Trump. Let me know what you guys think about this whole concept of Donald Trump banning Bitcoin. Very much in the same vein, we have a new proposal from the US House of Representatives that essentially wants to ban big tech firms from getting into finance. The bill, aptly named Keep Big Tech Out of Finance Act, specifies that a large platform utility may not establish, maintain, or operate digital assets that is intended to be widely used as a medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value, or any other similar function as defined by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Essentially, what they're saying is, if you run a big social media platform or a big internet platform, you may not create money or anything that resembles money or anything that can be used as money, aka cryptocurrency. This is very, very much so a further step along the whole banning cryptocurrency part. There was first the ICO craze, which was mainly the SEC as a working body, and now you see, because Facebook is the size that Facebook is, them talking about issuing a Facebook dollar, or the Libra, however you call it, is very, very much so being taken as what I think of as a countermeasure towards the US dollar, and the US government, and certainly as we saw with the Chinese government, are very much so moving quickly to counter this. We heard that the Chinese government is going to be releasing their own central bank digital currency, something we've actually heard. That story has come out, I think, at least a dozen times since I've been making cryptocurrency YouTube videos. But regardless of that, we're now seeing the US government start to kick into gear, kick into action in regards to cryptocurrency, specifically because of Libra. We all know that Libra, as it's designed, is supposedly not just Facebook's little baby that they can toy around with, but there's going to be many members of a bigger council and all these different sort of, attempts at minor decentralization. But regardless, what we're seeing here is it's largely being considered Facebook creating this dollar, and that's how the public is taking it in and understanding it. That's how these legislators are understanding it. And I think that's very important, that no matter what Facebook says in this white paper, people are still just going to consider this a Facebook dollar. It's still the Facebook crypto. And as we're seeing here, this is being considered a true threat to the current monetary system, which I think of as, in some ways extremely progressive, and in some ways it's, potentially going to trigger a supreme backlash here. But we will see. I personally don't think this has a hugely high likelihood of passing. First it has to pass the House, then it has to pass the Senate. I think of all, the Republican side might have more problems with this. I know that a lot of core Bitcoin advocates do not like the Facebook Libra project. I personally am of the belief that while Libra will lack in elements of decentralization and privacy, I believe that it will, essentially put a cryptocurrency wallet in the hands of billions of people. And soon people will see that, oh, wow, I could easily be holding Bitcoin instead of my dollars or my Facebook dollars, and that Bitcoin keeps going up in value while these dollars stay the same. I think it would trigger a huge, huge influx of new capital into the space. I think it would bring a whole bunch of new people over the precipice into the crypto world. I personally think on the whole, it would just be good for crypto. But at the same time, I understand all of the complaints against it. And now seeing that, the US government will most likely not sit idly by and let this happen, it might be, many years before Facebook is able to successfully deploy any form of this crypto. I just think that this is an interesting topic that quite likely could define the next few months to years of the cryptocurrency regulatory environment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. We also have news that Iran is launching a gold-pegged national cryptocurrency. I think that this is a big deal because it just shows to me the desire for non-correlated assets, the desire for, a currency that is not prone to hyperinflation, the desire for a currency that is not sort of bound by the rules of traditional sanctions against a country. As I think that has been a big issue for Iran, is the US sanctions against the country have made it very difficult for it to operate with US dollars. But here we have just another announcement of a cryptocurrency, this time a gold-pegged cryptocurrency that I guess they're hoping is not prone to the same hyperinflation as the Iranian rial. Well, that's it for me on a fear-filled Monday. And never forget the wise words: be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And of course, right now, during these pullbacks, that is when you want to be making your moves. Personally, I've been waiting for a nice pullback on the Bitcoin price to start doing some adjustments, throwing some new fiat into the system. I didn't want to buy as it was just rocketing up because, of course, if you have any history in this industry, you know that those parabolic moves, they end up pulling back significantly, and you would have kicked yourself because you would have wished you had the chance to spend all that new money at those lower prices. But in some weird ironic twist of fate, people rarely do buy when the price is going down because they think that it's just going to keep going down. They only want to buy when the price is going up, and that's just not the best form of trading. However, we are still in this bull cycle. I believe the bull cycle will continue for many more months, if not years. And so operating under that belief, I'm going to start averaging in some new buys and hoping that the price, even if it does go down a little bit more, I'm not going to panic. I know that it's temporary. I believe it's temporary. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. And so I'm going to start averaging in some more buys into the market. Let me know what your guys' strategy is for handling these big pullbacks. Right now, what are you thinking about the Bitcoin price? Are we headed back to 9,000? Are we headed up to 14,000? Do you think we'll have new all-time highs in 2019? Let me know in the comment section below. As usual, it's always been a pleasure having you here on FUD TV. My name's Elio Trades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode. If you enjoyed this video, throw me a like, throw me a comment, and if you're not subscribed, please hit that sub button. See you soon.